Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Hey, I want you to join me listening to another expose by the Health Minister, Honorable Akando. How he exposed the NPP again on saying they have finished or completed 3 of the Agenda 11 projects. Without much ado, I would like you to join me listening to what he said. Please, you are the judge. After watching, make sure you bring your view out there. Just at the comment section, drop your view there for everyone to see and everyone to read and make a meaning. No insult, please. Without my time wasting, please join me listening to what he said and how he exposed them. This station still remains PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and factual content. You can't afford to mix out, please. Just subscribe or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, which is 0277 12877. Any grievances of yours, just channel it to that WhatsApp number and we will attend to you at due time. Thank you.
Project was all about. You've seen firsthand what the status of the project is. What's your own assessment of the project?
Thank you very much for having me, and let me state that because I was a ranking member on the health committee, these are not new things to me because I have been part and parcel of the whole processes. So Agenda 111 was the flagship program in the health sector for the Nana-Addo government. And so when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama took office as the president of this country, he has given clear instructions, clear marching orders that that particular program has no business in the presidency, and therefore it must be reverted to the Ministry of Health. And that the instructions were clear that I should audit the whole Agenda 111 and then give him a blueprint and advise him the way forward. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is clear, in his mind about the way forward, how we can put this infrastructure to the good use of the people of this country. That is the most important aspect. And so I will try and highlight some of the facts per the Agenda 111. The Agenda 111 was estimated to cost about $1.7 billion US. And as you know, in this country, every ambitious project, you need to have what we call a dedicated sources of funding, dedicated and reliable sources of funding. You cannot have this project and you will rely on the consolidated fund. It's not realistic. Okay? And when that program started, we suggested to government, and then I was a ranking member on it, look, no matter the number of health facilities or infrastructure you want to build in the country, you can do so by rolling it in phases. So even if you want to do, say, 111, the first phase can have, let's say, about 20 projects. As and when you finish, then you can roll on and on and on and on. Unfortunately, they tend a dead ear or a blind eye to our request or advice. And so they needed about $1.7 billion US to complete this project. If you recall, a deadline was given, and that they were going to finish between 12 to 18 months, maximum 2 years.
That was the initial timeline.
That was the initial timeline.
Right.
And you recall that this program started around 2020. So at most, the expectation was that by 2022, all the projects would be completed. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Right. So in 2022, His Excellency, the former president, Nana-Addo appeared on the floor of the House for the State of the Nation address. And at the time, he made a point that he was going to hand over all the 111 hospitals before he leaves power as the president. So he reiterated the point that he was going to finish all the projects. And so fast forward, in 2024, when he was handed over as president, out of the 111 hospitals, in his statement, his last State of the Nation address, per the president himself, he made a point that he has finished or completed 3.
Yes.
That's what the president said.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and I'm not very comfortable saying that, but that is the truth. Unfortunately, the president was not on top of his brief, or somebody misled the president. You understand? And so when I started touring these sites to have first-hand information, the facts are, you recall that the 3 projects here the president was referring to are 3D.
Yeah.
Recruitment Municipal Hospital, and there's another one in the Hunter West in the Western region. These were the 3 projects. So we had to pay a working visit to these facilities, and so tread the Recruitment Municipal Hospital and the other one in the Hunter West. When we got there, what we realized was that if the level of completion, as per what has been reported in the handing over notes, was wrong. And to tell you the truth, they actually sent Mr. President to these places to personally commission these projects, which I believe you have, I mean, videos.
Reported, yeah,
yes, reported on this matter, and you have evidence to that effect. We realized that the civil works were not even completed. A lot of places, the place actually was still under construction. It was a construction site. We didn't go to meet any nurse. We didn't go to meet any medical doctor. We didn't go to meet any health worker there. And not all the equipment had been delivered. In fact, about 20 to 30% of the equipment had been delivered. So why the rush? And you remember the project was commissioned on the 5th of December, 2 days to election. These are the facts. We just want to take Ghanaians along for everybody to know the truth. And when I went to the field, I went with the media. Everybody was there. The people saw it for themselves.
In fact, there are questions emerging about what's inspiring, first of all, the tour, because of the politics that has emerged over the topic, and how, you know, some members of the minority in parliament believe that, well, the tour was inspired by politics just because you are making these political points.
I don't know what you describe as politics, but if it is politics and it will, it will inure to our advantage, or it will bring transparency, why not? You know, I have already told you that the president gave a clear direction that go assess the facilities and come and advise me. Number 2,
right,
when the president stated in his State of the Nation address that none of these 3 was operational. You remember the president made that point as part of the State of the Nation address. We had people in the former regime challenging Mr. President in CSRA, you recall.
Right.
And I hear he has come to make another funny statement, and we will get there. They said no. Mr. President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was being economical with the truth. We heard it. So we had to go to the grounds for the people of this country to know the truth. How is this politics? How is this politics?
But let's clear off the issue about the cost, first of all. The cost of the project itself and how much is remaining in terms of the outstanding amounts to complete it. We've had 1.7 million at some point. Some are talking about 1.5. Do we have clarity in terms of what the reconciled figures are?
They promised 111 hospitals, about 101 district hospitals, and we have other psychiatric hospitals as part of the 111.
Right.
So the total for the 111 will come around 1.9 billion US dollars. But the total for the 101 district hospitals is around 1.7 billion US.
Excluding the psychiatric facilities.
And then as at the time they were leaving office, about 400 million US dollars has been expended. They've expended about 400 million US dollars. Now, it comes back to the point of doing it in phases.
Right.
Okay? If you take their own calculation, constructing each one at the rate of 18 million US dollars, their own calculation, which is another bone of contention anyway, we'll get there because you're auditing the whole thing.
Right.
Even with their own figures, it should give you not less than 22 hospitals fully completed and running. Meanwhile, not a single one of them is running at the moment. So out of the 3, as of today, Wednesday, 5th March, 2025,
right.
I have visited the 2 in Ashanti region that the president commissioned.
Right.
Okay, and none is in operation. And in fact, another angle of it that has even not come to the public domain is the fact that apart from the rate of completion, the outstanding commitment, the debt that they have left behind at 3 is around 8 million US dollars.
And what's this debt supposed to be for?
That is work done by the contractor that has not been paid. And the work done by the contractor at Oforikrum Municipal Hospital also stands at around $8 billion, which is about more than 100 million Ghana cedis. So the 2, about 200 million Ghana cedis. And you see, it's a common principle that if you sign a contract and your partner or a party to the contract performs his part of the contract, it's only fair and good for government to also perform his part of the contract. What is the part of the contract of government? Is to honor your obligation. That is the only way the property will become the property of the state. Not until that.
So what you mean to say is that as we speak now, even these facilities...
Even the work that has been done has not been paid for.
So it may not even be ours.
It is not the property of Ghana.
Really?
Yes. That is what it is. Ask anybody. It is not. So how can you commission a project that is not yours?
So what then will you be doing about the facilities, knowing that at least the president has made some pronouncements? He says all these 3 ought to be functional, and the people within this community are upbeat about using the facilities. What do you plan to do? What do you plan to do?
Yes, so before I get to this
yes.
question, let me also clear this misinformation in the system by again another person who is supposed to know better in Sian Asari.
Right, the former presidential advisor.
Yes, who was, I don't understand this. When they had Ministry of Health, I don't understand this whole arrangement. He had his own interest, I don't know. But, I mean, let me clear that misconception about what he's been speaking to and all that. He makes the point that apart from coming out to challenge Mr. President that all these 3 hospitals are in operation and now everybody in Ghana knows the truth, immediately I paid a working visit to the site. Then he came back to say that, oh, they are not in operation because when we took office, we have sacked the nurses, we have sacked health workers. It's online. Check Ghana Web and all. It's quite disgraceful, to say the least. Number one, when you commissioned the project that it was supposed to be in operation, that was in December 2024, 5th. We were not in power. How could we have sacked health workers then? Quite disgraceful. Number 2, let me reiterate the point that since we took office from 7 January 2025, we have never sacked any health worker in this country. Not a single one. So it cannot be true. And when I went with the Director General for Ghana Health Service, accompanied by the Regional Director of Ghana Health Service of Ashanti Region. And I asked them, these facilities are supposed to be Ghana Health Service facilities. Do you have any plan for recruitment or for staffing of these facilities? They said no. These facilities, one, has not been handed over to us to manage. So at least, I don't know why people decide to lie about the glaring truth that everybody is aware of.
That's why I'm interested in the
they
way
are
forward.
not in operation. And I urge you and I encourage you, Joy, FM, Joy News. Right. I encourage you, go to the site and take the videos yourself, the pictures yourself. You had a representative in my entourage when I visited the place. Ask them. We went. There were places. The places were even flooded. Some of the rooms were flooded. Some places when we got there, I don't know whether they heard I was coming there. They were doing. Construction was still ongoing.
And that's why I'm interested in the way forward.
What do you
plan to do?
One.
And how will you engage the contractors now? One,
we are doing auditing of the whole Agenda 111.
Right.
And we are taking it in phases. Mr. President says that, look, the first thread that is an advanced stage of completion. Because then I'll tell you, the two, none is above, 90% completion. They are around 80% completion. And even the delivery of the equipment is around 20 to 30%. And that is the truth. Of course, they have delivered some of the equipment. You understand? Right. And so we are packaging them in phases. Auditing, advise Mr. President, then we'll find a way forward. The way forward is that how can we operationalize, one, fully complete, at least the first three, then operationalize at least the first three. Then we roll out the next phase. After auditing, how are you going to get money to finish those ones?
The original idea is for 101, as you're pointing out earlier. Will you maintain that 101 agenda?
That will come.
Or you intend to modify it?
I do not want to preempt my advice to Mr. President. It will be part of the advice. Whether or not we should maintain the 101 or 111 hospitals. I think that I do not want to preempt it at this stage. So we are looking at all these things.
And sustainability should be at the core of the conversation, because when we started, you were then ranking on, Parliament's Health Committee. So you have a key understanding to the issues about funding. The former Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has addressed the press on what they call the true state of the nation. And as part of that, he argues that some sustainable financing line was made available for the Agenda 111.
That is not true.
Amounting to some 1.5 billion, I believe, plus dollars in terms of funding line.
That is palpable falsehood. There is absolutely no money. In fact, they were financing it from GIIF, Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. That's where they were financing it from. Okay? And they even have an outstanding commitment of about 1 billion Ghana cedis. If they had money, why were they not paying those commitments? As I speak to you now, work that has been done by contractors that has not been paid is in excess of 1 billion Ghana cedis. So why haven't they paid? I don't know why people can lie like this. Is blatant falsehood. It's not true. We don't have any reliable source of funding for this project. I don't know where he's speaking from. And as I started my submission, I told you I've been a ranking member of the committee. And even in their own document they provided to Parliament, they did their projection as beyond 2027 for completion. And I've been on your program before. I've showed this document. You have a copy. I remember the last time I came there, Evans or so, one of your guys took a copy of that document. So they themselves, they knew that it was not going to be possible to construct 111 hospitals before 2024. So these are clear, blatant falsehood they are peddling around. I don't know why, what the motivation is.
If the projection is for 2027, and the challenge now you have is quite a complex one, because yes, we might want to rely on donor support for advancing the cause, but that would also be challenged because of what's happening around the world. How do you plan to navigate these challenges that we're facing? The fact that funding is being cut from some developed countries such as the US, and how are you going to establish a sustainable, funding line for this project?
You have just brought back the question I didn't want to answer, because it's going to amount to preempting the advice to Mr. President in a different form. But I can assure you, and that is what Mr. President keeps saying, that the way forward. We will look at the whole thing. We are now auditing the whole project, whether or not there was value for money and all that. it will shock you to hear that for Agenda 111, we had multiples, not one, not two, not three, multiples of consultants. We had one consultant sitting on top called Hospital Infrastructure Group. Then there was another layer of consultant, which is a consortium of consultants. Can you imagine?
Yeah. So the overhead costs and all of that was there.
You understand?
Right.
And so when you move to any zone, they've divided the project into zones. So if you move to any zone, we have different consultants consulting on different issues. So you have somebody consulting on masonry work, somebody consulting on plumbing work. Can you imagine? One project. And there's even a difference between the model of a district hospital at the Ministry of Health and what they did at the Flagstaff House. So all these things will come into play in my advice or the blueprint to Mr. President.
Have you spoken to the contractors since? Because these are people who would obviously be coming to your office. Some may be asking for...
I've spoken to the consultants.
Funds.
I am in touch with the consultants. We went to site. I've spoken to the contractors too as well. I've spoken to them. And I'm telling you the truth. You can find out. You can go to the places, trade there, and for Recruitment to go and see for yourself.
The concern now is about what you're promising them, because they would also be expectant about money, cash.
Oh, of course, yes. So that's why we're doing the complete auditing to know whether or not the work they have done, correlates.
So will you pay them? You're saying you're not going to pay them? Is that the case, or you will be paying them?
Nobody has said you're not going to pay
them.
Right. If you sign a contract, Ghana government has signed a contract with a company. It's binding. You inherit, assets and liabilities. And so once Ghana government has signed a contract with them, we will study the contract.
Because you're not happy with the work done. That's why I'm asking, asking the question.
My personal feeling about the work doesn't matter. The right thing must be done.
So payments will be made regardless.
If they have not breached any portion of the contract and they have done their part of, performed their part of the contract, why not? You will have to pay them. Else, that property cannot be the property of Ghana.
How will you explain to Ghanaians who say, well, you are the supervising minister, if quality is not assured, value for money is not assured, then obviously they don't deserve or they haven't earned the cash.
Of course. So that is why we're doing the auditing. So just don't get up and go and pay them. So that's why we're doing the auditing. If there's a need for us to pay them, pay the contract, we'll pay them. But if they have not performed as expected, we cannot pay them. For example, on paper, all the drawings indicate that you must put up a specific design of a district hospital. If you compare that design to what you have done, and that is not the case, we cannot pay you.
In some of these cases, are you finding out that they are the same?
I have not said so. We are doing auditing.
I see you don't want to disclose quite a lot. But okay, so moving on to other sectors of the health ministry, the president spoke at the State of the Nation address, indicating that there's a bigger plan to carry out, for instance, the Mahama Care. That's one of the visions of the president. Besides that, what broader plans do you have for improving healthcare across the country?
Okay, so one of the priority areas for government with respect to health care is free primary health care. We have a duty to get to universal health coverage by 2030. And one of the barriers for universal health coverage is the financial aspect. One will argue that there is national health insurance scheme. But I can tell you there are quite a number of people who are not subscribers to the National Health Insurance Scheme. And even those who are subscribers, sometimes the renewal is also another challenge. And so what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is saying is that irrespective of whether or not you are a subscriber to the National Health Insurance Scheme, you should have free primary health care. And this is born out of the fact that every Ghanaian contributes to the National Health Insurance Fund. The National Health Insurance Fund, the main streams that make the National Health Insurance are the National Health Insurance Levy, contribution from SNIT, and the premium. If you look at the total, the levy is a chunk of it. And you and I pay the levy, whether you're a subscriber or not. So the least that we can do is for you who is not a subscriber to benefit the primary health care, so that you can use, if you're a subscriber, you can use your status as a subscriber to benefit other, packages that are not necessarily part of the free primary health care. So that is one of the things we are going to be very aggressive in rolling out. Free primary health care, which will lead us to universal health coverage. That's number one.
Would this be supported by the trust fund, which he speaks about, the establishment of the trust fund?
The trust fund is a different, I'm just going
to...
Okay. So the trust fund is a different one. Now, per the records available in my briefing, the rate at which the NCDs, the non-communicable diseases, are killing people in this country is quite alarming. And so His Excellency John Dramani Mahama said, look, we are going to establish a fund to subsidize the treatment of these chronic diseases, i.e. cardiovascular diseases, kidney-related diseases, and the cancers. So that is what we are looking at. And the constitution or the composition of the committee to look into that has even been done. And so we are looking at how we can establish the fund so that people can draw from the fund to subsidize the treatment of these, diseases. And that notwithstanding, we are looking at controlling it at the primary level. Whilst we are looking at people who have gotten to a level where they must seek for treatment, we are looking at how we can give free primary health care to the people to check their, pressure on time, to check those basic things, sensitization of the people, awareness creation, so that one will lower the bill when it comes to the NCDs. And so that's another major fund we are seeking to establish. We call it Mahama Cares, the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, Mahama Cares.
Right.
So it's one of our priority areas as a government.
Right.
Not only that, we used to have 10 regions. We now have 16 regions. And so it is only basic for every region to have a regional hospital.
Yeah.
Okay? So we are looking at putting up regional hospitals in the regions without regional hospitals. We are also going, within the 4 years, we are going, so we will take them one after the other. We'll be rolling out one after the other. We are targeting what we call medical tourism. Okay? We have a lot of Ghanaians out there who are physicians, who are surgeons, who are, experts, specialists, who are willing to come back to Ghana intermittently to help us. Okay? So we must have that framework to give them that opportunity to come, so that when you are talking about medical treatment, okay, within the sub-region, Ghana must come into mind. And it was one of the reasons why His Excellency John Dramani Mahama put up the University of Ghana Medical Center. The University of Ghana Medical Hospital or Medical Center is a quaternary level of facility. You understand? And so it is part of that medical tourism. We are also looking at upgrading some of the already existing health facilities. You don't build new ones and leave the already existing ones to rot. So we are looking at improving Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. We are looking at upgrading and improving upon Kolebu, Teaching Hospital. We are looking at upgrading the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, which is Ridge Hospital. In fact, we are looking at turning Ridge Hospital into a teaching hospital. Okay? We are looking at how we can increase the number of CHIPS compounds in the country. We are looking at how we can link the health facilities for it to be more efficient. So linking CHIPS compounds and then the health centers. That's the P4R, right? We call it P4R. So pharmacy shops and other facilities together, so that it will aid in referrals at the basic level. You understand?
So it becomes an interconnected system.
An interconnected system. And so we are looking at that one. We are also going to look at equipping the already existing hospitals, the district hospitals, because the last time we did what we call the replacement of hospital equipment was as far back in 2014, when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was the President of the Republic of Ghana. So you go to hospitals like Ridge Hospital, you weep. You go there and MRI is even not working.
Regardless of the edifice.
Exactly. You go there and CT scan, basic, is not working at such a hospital. So the hospital is not just the edifice or the brick and mortar. The hospital is the personnel, the brick and mortar, and the equipment. So we are looking at that. So we have a tall list because for the past 8 years, excuse my French, I don't want to say they have wasted our time, but let me say they didn't do much in the health sector.
But, well, what they say is that they allude to what's happened in terms of building human resource, right? Just before leaving office, the former president had recruited some people into the health sector. And now the claim, as you're hearing from the former presidential advisor on health, is that some of these people were asked to just go home, although they are health professionals providing healthcare services across the country. Do you have any briefing on that?
Sorry.
Were there any dismissals? Did they really happen?
My brother, let me expose this kind of hypocrisy in the system and the attempt to deceive Ghanaians in the name of politics. The first time the NPP government did recruitment was when we were about, voting in 2020. That was the first recruitment they did. Okay. So after that recruitment, it took effect in 2021. Then they went to sleep. So as I speak to you now, 2021 year group are in the house, 2022 year group are in the house, 2023 year group are also in the house. And so 2024 will be added. And so just around the final year, 2024, then they came again that yes, we want to do recruitment. And that recruitment was with respect to 2020 year group.
Not the others.
Not the others. You see the deception here? Not the others. And so they started the process of recruiting people. And that, the concentration was the 2020 year group. So as I speak to you now, we have a lot of years that are still at home. Now, since we came to power, we have not sacked a single person that was recruited. I don't know where they are getting this from. I don't.
Maybe it's because of the directive from the chief of staff asking people.
When a directive is issued from the big house, you ask yourself whether it's applicable in my ministry. That directive, I have spoken to the chief of staff. I've spoken to senior government officials. I've spoken to the president himself. That directive is not applicable in our health sector, especially with the recruitment, because the recruitment, in fact, the portals was opened around August 23rd. Last year.
Okay.
August 23rd. And they closed the portal within the same August. And so the processes began. And so to even get to a point where people will be posted to their health facilities and their names may not be on their payroll. It happens to everybody. You start work and it takes about 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 1 year before you even get your salary. Okay? So that directive is not applicable in our situation we are talking about. So we have not sacked anybody. Okay? So I don't know where this is coming from. And going forward, we are going to, I've had a lot of feedback from the people of this country about how recruitment our recruitments are done in the Ministry of Health, and I've taken notice of all these concerns. And we are going to audit the system, the portals. We are going to audit the portals and put measures in place so that people will not abuse the system.
There's the question as to why we're not recruiting more nurses or health practitioners, knowing that, you know, the system needs it. The health to the patient to nurses ratio is not anything to write home about, and yet still the government doesn't seem, or successive government haven't employed more. What's accounting for that? And knowing that you have 3 batches to deal with aside the 2020 batch, what's the plan for the recruitment?
You know, the truth of the matter is that there are a lot of things that come into play when you want to do recruitment. And the major one of them is its impact on the public purse. You don't just recruit people without getting the financial clearance. You must recruit people you can pay at the end of the day. So the biggest of the considerations is whether or not government has the muscle to pay the people they will recruit. And so that is where I think that we should be able to think outside the box. We have trained people. We've used the taxpayers' money to invest in people. They are staying at home. What can we do to create employment for them? So what I have started doing, I came to meet the Barbados Alliance.
Yeah.
I came to meet, and I hope you know about that. It's a fantastic idea. So we need to build on it.
Sending more of our people out.
I went to the High Commission, the British High Commissioner to UK, the British High Commissioner to Ghana, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And we had a lengthy chat. And it was one of the issues we discussed, how they can also be of help, how we can facilitate, government will facilitate the migration of health workers. Whether or not you facilitate, they will go anyway.
But the fear is that more people will be attracted to that than working here in the country.
Well, if we do and regularize it well, we'll have the optimal health workforce in this country, maintain it, what we need. And then the rest, it is because we will be controlling it. So we can then put the brakes as and when we want to put the brakes, because it will be, government will be controlling the migration. Right. It is only when you cannot control the migration where they will live to the extent that you cannot get the optimal workforce you need as a country. You understand? And so if we come in to control the migration, then we know when and where to apply the brakes. You know, and so we think that, look, whether you like it or not, even if we don't get anything, and our target is that as a country, once we've been able to, we have invested in these nurses, we should be able to get something from the receiving countries. But come to think of it, even if we don't get anything from that, you know, one of the backbones of our economy is the remittances we get from people from outside the country. If these people go outside the country and go and work and remit to their family members, it comes back to the economy. You know, and so it's something I'm looking at. We are looking at Germany, we are looking at UK, we are looking at US, we are looking at Seychelles, we are looking at a number of them, and it is one of the priority.
Do you have a fine timeline as to when the first deployment may be done? Okay,
so that you get back at me and tell me that you said yesterday or tomorrow
that the people will go.
So we will concentrate on that and we'll do that.
Funding, before we go, funding is critical to the activities of the Ministry of Health. I was just pointing out to what's happening in the US, for instance, that the president has announced that this will affect key sectors of the economy and also health. Over 70 billion or million, I understand, US dollars at risk. That will definitely impact your work. What are you going to do to cushion these people who are reliant on the aid that these people
But US is not the only partner we have. We are still in talks with the other partners. And the second issue is that His Excellency the President gave a clear directive to the minister responsible for finance to look for money to be able to fill the gaps. And so we are in collaboration, we are in talks with the Ministry of Finance, myself and Honorable Ato Forsen. We are looking at the various agencies under the Health Ministry, that has been affected by this particular decision to know how we'll be able to face the guy. What it means is that we should be able to do things differently.
Including more taxes, perhaps?
To slap more taxes?
Yeah, perhaps. That's the only way to get more money.
No, that has never been discussed. If that is what you want as a headline, it has never been
it's not the issue about the headlines, is it? Because you know that the finance minister has promised COVID-19 levy, for instance, will be gone. You need some of these. You need some of these.
We are running a country.
Yeah.
As and when,
right.
I mean, what must be done to be communicated.
But you need the funds, isn't it?
Well, it has never come to the table for discussion that we are going to look at other tax handles. No. We have never discussed that at all. It has never come up. What I'm telling you is that we need to do things differently.
But where would the money come from?
Oh, for now, His Excellency has given clear instructions, and we'll get the money to fill the gaps. We'll get the money. I mean, we are in real difficult times,
right?
But we have to cut down expenditure. It's one of the, things to do to be able to, and we have to make judicious use of the little or the scarce resources we have, not to behave like we used to do.
We're wrapping up, but if there's anything you'd want to share with the people of Ghana or leave with the people of Ghana, and by extension, many who are hopeful that the Agenda 111 hospitals will be open soon, what message would you want to leave the people with?
Well, what I want to tell the people is that we are here in the interest of the citizenry, and we'll take every single decision we'll take here will be in the interest of the country. So we will assess the entire project, and we'll think outside the box and try to complete what we need to complete. And if there's a need to bring other people on board, we'll do that to make sure that whatever has been expended already, we get value for that particular money. And so they should be rest assured. And you know, in this country, I said it somewhere, that people lie, they believe in their own lies, and then they want everybody to believe in the lies. Ministry of Health, we've not sacked anybody, especially health workers, and will not sack any health worker who has legitimately, if you like, genuinely been employed, gone through the right processes. If there's anything at all, we are only praying. As and when we think that we must do more recruitment, we will do. You know, the recruitment they did in 2024, it's as if we did the recruitment. You know why? Because at the end of the day, the burden is on this new government. I mean, just mere recruiting people is not a challenge. It's the ability to pay those people. Now who is going to pay them? So the burden. And that's what they do all the time. You remember Single Spine?
Right.
When they left office, then they announced Single Spine. Then the obligations shifted to President Mills. You remember? And they've done over almost 15,000 recruitments. Who is going to pay them?
You pay them.
So the obligation or the responsibility lies with the new government. They are gone.
I see. Well, we'll have this conversation again, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Thank you so much for talking to us, Honorable Kwabena Minta-Akando. And that's all.
Thank you for making time with us again. This is the best channel. This is the best political platform where everybody share his view on any content we share on this platform. Please let your content flow, and also remember to share to other friends of yours on other platforms that you belong to. Let them know the truth about the past government and the current happenings. Thank you once again. God bless us all. Bye-bye.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.